first few people that can come, and then we'll have a recording like last year, which Mr. Paul is making possible for all of our friends that can't be here. Yeah. Hello. Oh, it's on now, Mr. Paul. What? Sure. Yeah, anybody can, but if you are a buddy, which we're going to go over what your assignments are in a second, but if you are a buddy, like I'm not going to be like, you have to take our training, because you're going to have a lot of guidance and a lot of leaders over you. But so if your daughter, like Emily or Hannah or Evan, you can talk to them about things that might be important to them, have them maybe look it over, but they're going to have a lot of guidance as far as they're not going to be leading anyone on their own, if that makes sense. Okay, are we good, Mr. Paul? Great. Okay, we can start. Hi, for those, everybody kind of knows me, hopefully. I've texted every one of you. So my name is Joy, and I am the director here for VBS at and it's just a really great honor and a really great privilege to be able to do this. And I said last year, like, I'm not qualified for this job. But God's been really faithful in teaching me the little things, and I have a lot of people alongside me. It's not just me doing it. So I've grown a lot and learned a lot, and hopefully we'll have a really great VBS. But that's only possible because of you. So thank you for being here. Thank you for giving up of your time for today, but also for the week of VBS, for if you're going to be there 1 day or 5 days. Thank you. So I really appreciate it, and hopefully we pray that God would produce a harvest in our children out of our service to them and the seeds that we get to plant. So in our first part of our training binder, we have our schedule for today, which we're going to deviate from a tiny bit, but not much. So thank you for being here. Before I jump into everything, I'm going to let Ms. Diane encourage us. I still think about last year, when she's told us about Goodness No from Pete the Cat. And my kids love Pete the Cat now, but there's just so many things that in this I've been like, want to get bothered by, and I'm like, no, the Holy Spirit, He will take care of it, and that we can trust that everything's going to be okay. So I can't wait to hear what you have to say today.
Good morning. Because we're all asleep, right? I'd like for you to take, if you can, take your fingers, your index fingers, and put the left one over the right one, okay? And any of you that know sign language would know or think that this is friends, okay? Okay, friends, right? We had a little song when my kids were little that kind of went like, friends, friends, friends. I have some friends I love my friends, and they love me. I help my friends, and they have me. Friends, friends, friends. I have some friends I love. So what I'd like you to do now is take your fingers, and I'd like you to try to be as strong as you can, but don't let them come apart, okay? And then I want you to try to do it again, but don't let go, but be as light about it as you can, but still keep them together. Okay, all right, that makes sense? Okay, so think of everyone here this week as being a friend. It becomes nice to tell people in your head, they're my friend. They're here to help me. And you never know who God will use to help someone else. No one else can help someone else the way you can. Don't ever minimize what your gift is to be here today. So think about, as you see people this week, maybe it's a light hold. Maybe you've never had the hold. Or maybe it's super strong, you know? So we want to think about that. And that's a silly way to think of it, but I guarantee you, anytime you do this, you'll think about it, right? And you can teach your kids that too, or your grandchildren. And Ecclesiastes 4 says, 2 are better than 1, because they have a good reward for their toil or work. For if they fall, one will lift up his fellow, woman or man. But woe to him who's alone when he falls and has not one to lift him up. I've fallen and I can't get up. Again, if 2 lie together and they keep warm, how can one keep warm alone? And we're thinking here of when you're at a ball game and you're freezing to death and you happen to have a blanket and you see somebody over there, ooh, well, you share your blanket, you know, and that's what that's all about. You're warm when you have somebody else near you. And though a man might prevail against one who is alone, I'm thinking about yesterday when we were almost blown off the Bayway because somebody was trying to go around my husband on the wrong side of the road. Yes. We managed to get home. And so, though a man might prevail against one who is alone, two will withstand him. However, if the two bring another one on, it's so much harder to be broken. And we hear that a threefold cord is not quickly broken. Well, talking about friends, if we go back to John 15, Jesus said, I don't call you servants anymore. I call you friends. We're friends like the Father and our friends, like the Holy Spirit and our friends. How in the world we can be drawn in that kind of circle, I'm not sure. But he loves us enough to do that. And so this week, think about how we're community. We're friends, maybe acquaintances who can become friends. If you're in a situation where you need help, maybe it's only somebody to pray for you, to keep the community going, because the enemy is going to try to come in and break that two-stranded cord, three-stranded cord, and it doesn't have to happen if we realize how much God is over this in us and spreading out. So let's think about that this week. Be alert. So somebody who looks like, or that may be me, so don't hesitate to reach out, okay? Don't hesitate. But I need to be alert to you, and we need to be alert to the children on top of everything. Let's really be alert to the children. But I'd love for you to think about this week, okay? I didn't sing. Did you notice I didn't do that? I just said the words, so you didn't have to hear that. But let me pray for us, if I can. Lord, thank you that you are our friend. Thank you that you never, ever let us down, and you know what it's like to have all your friends leave you. Lord, I pray that we will start reaching out as community, that we will start knowing that we are special in your sight and we have something valuable to offer the children and to offer you and to offer each other. Help us be willing to be vulnerable and let people help us. Let us be strong enough to help others. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Miss Diane. I appreciate it. If y'all don't know, Miss Diane has been our prayer leader for VBS, which is very encouraging to me. I know she's prayed for me a lot because I felt it, but she's also going to be our 4 and 5s leader this year, and you all know that's a big job. I think we have 18 little ones signed up now for 4 and 5-year-olds, so woohoo, it's going to be fun. Okay, so that brings us to our next page. If you turn the page, you'll see a little spreadsheet like this, and hopefully you have found your name, or you can find your name. And this is broken up in the terminology, which we'll go over. We're leagues this year because we are in a sports theme. So we have League A through E, and our coaches, which are our main teachers in those rooms, are listed at the top of those leagues. So we have Sarah Norris, who's not here this morning, and she'll be subbed by Stephanie one day. Kristen Moore is going to do it as well for the 3rd and 4th. And then Bethany Ballou, who's here, is going to do 1st and 2nd. And then Miss Diane is 4 and 5. And then Miss Elizabeth Cook will be serving our 2 and 3-year-olds for the volunteers' children. So if you find your name under them, you'll know that they are your leader, okay? So that applies to assistant coaches and to buddies. You'll find your name there. That also tells you what grade group you'll be serving. Now, if you find your name and you're like, no, ma'am, I will not be serving that age, that is fine. You just let me know, and there's time to adjust. I want you to be happy where you're serving, because kids pick up on that. So just let me know, and we can try to swap you or adjust or whatever. But hopefully that gives you some clarity. On the right side of the page, you'll see the different other roles we have. So our stations are our Bible lesson, which Miss Tammy Woolley's doing again this year. And you guys just give her a big hug if you see her, because she's incredible, and we're so thankful for her. And then for crafts, we have Lauren Larg, and we're very excited. She has some great crafts for our kids. Recreation, Emily Cowles and Michelle Yoder are leading that group, which is going to be exciting. And for snack, we have Abby Chansey again. Michelle Hurst is going to help her. And Dustin's going to do sound, which we know we cannot do anything without sound, so thank him for us. And we also have our security, which we're still recruiting for 2 days. So if your husband has Friday or Thursday or Friday off, or he can take off, and he is aware of how to do security. He can talk to Chase Boutwell, our head deacon, and get some information about that, because we still need those 2 days. It is hard to ask men to take off, but if your guy is free, please send him our way. But we will have somebody covered for those days. Nicole and I will be doing registration table, and Miss Dana is going to be our song leader, as well as she's going to do all the skits. And y'all I'm so thankful for that, because last year I did that, and I think everybody will be happy that Dana's doing it. Me the most. So anyway, we're excited about that. Okay, so is everybody clear on who you are? You are either a coach or an assistant coach in this room, or a buddy, or you're a leader. Now, Katie Guerreri, we'll get to her too, but she's going to be our gospel presenter. Okay. So the next page you'll see is brightly colored. This is our Bible lessons at a glance, which we're going to go over as we talk about the whole week. But it is kind of going to give us some guidance, and it's a really great thing for every single one of us to read and to understand what are we actually trying to teach the kids. This is a fun event, okay? So we want to have a lot of fun, but this is what we really want them to come away with. This is the information, but mostly this is the gospel. This is the word that we hope penetrates their heart. So Bethany's going to talk about that a little bit. All right. Making sure I'm not getting ahead of myself. Okay. Let's see. All right. We are going to look at, I guess, the VBS overview, which is the next page. I'm skipping, but I guess it'll be okay. All right. So for VBS, I scratched that. We're going to go over Olympian. I put it in the notebook wrong, and that bothers me. But according to the schedule, we're supposed to look at Olympian. So the next after that is Olympian. We're going to talk about what are we actually, this VBS is about. So last year we did Summer Sequest, and this year we have Olympian, which is Olympics themed, but Olympics is trademarked, so we can't use Olympics. But it's Olympian, like marathon, Olympian, and we have athletes in running the race of life and faith. That is our theme. We're running the race of life and faith. So we're going to learn the story of Joshua, which as you read through the Bible lessons at a glance, you'll see that story laid out for us really clearly. But this is what our daily schedule is going to look like. If you volunteered last year, it's basically the same as last year. We have our prayer and registration here in the sanctuary, and then we'll have our opening ceremonies here in the ceremony, and it tells us our time, 9 to 9:30. That's for everyone. And then we'll have all of our events. So this is when you're going to be rotating through all the stations and through your training rooms and things like that. It's 9:30 to 11:30. Then we'll come back in here for our closing ceremonies. It's 11:30 to 12. And then we dismiss at 12. Okay, so that kind of gives you an overview. And there is a sample schedule for those that are going to be moving. It's behind this form, and it will say League A. So this just gives you a very good idea. Everybody's times are the same. You just rotate to different things at a different time. So if that makes sense, that's your timeline there. Okay. So we already mentioned that Miss Tammy is going to be doing our Bible lessons. And you can read through that there. But I'm really excited about the lessons this year. It talks a lot about all the truths of our own hearts, which is that we wander. We are just like the Israelites, and we wander, and we are not faithful all the time, and we don't do our best all the time. But there is someone who is faithful, and that's someone that forgives and seeks after us and guides us and leads us, and we can trust in him. So we're going to walk through the race of life that's going to teach us that, and as we go through the story of the Israelites in Joshua. Okay, so our main daily themes are fear leads to disobedience, then faith leads to obedience, God is our refuge, God is our judge, and Jesus the faithful one. Okay. So a note about our Bible lesson is that is held in the sanctuary, and we're going to be having it in the back corner this year. So if you are in the middle of that time frame from 9:30 to 11:30, we ask that you do not come in here unless absolutely necessary, because we don't want to disturb those classes. Okay. Okay. So the next section we have is the race of life and faith, and this is Miss Katie Guerreri is going to be helping us. Leah did this so well last year, but you can see on the next page is a brightly colored race of faith, and this is what we're going to walk through starting on day 2. Is all of these elements here. Now, if you are a coach or an assistant coach, I highly recommend, we're not going to enforce that the kids memorize this, but this is what we want them to take away, right? So we have 5 events that we'll go over from day 2 to day 5, and Katie will introduce us to those during the morning time, and we'll have all day to go over those with our group. Our questions are going to be leaning towards that. Our times in our snack time we'll go over is going to be leaning towards that. But so for us to be familiar with this, I think is very important for the scripture verses. A lot of you who have known Christ for a long time and been in the church probably have most of these memorized. But to put them together with the truth, we want to be able to help in a succinct way, guide them through the gospel. And Katie, I'm excited to hear what you have to say. I know it's going to be, the Holy Spirit's going to do you really good. It's going to be great. I can't wait. When does the thing? Yeah, so it happens in the morning at the morning assembly. That's a good question. So the morning assembly is when we'll have that, and that is in the next phase. So it's kind of a lot to cover, so I don't know if it was in the right order, but so it is. In the morning presentation, Katie is going to come up. Okay. Next, we have our VBS presentation. So this is just to let you know that on Sunday, which is the following Sunday on the 30th, we will be sending invitations and inviting all the children to come back to church here, even if they don't go to church here, because we're going to give them the opportunity to sing a few songs, and we'll have a slideshow of the week so that everybody can enjoy and participate in what we've been able to do for VBS. So if you aren't planning to be here that week, maybe you can think about how you plan to be here that week to support them, wear your VBS t-shirt, and say hi to your kiddos. Okay, so there's a few changes this year, not that many from last year, but we are not using logbooks this year. We had several reasons for that, but we had an overwhelming poll that we had taken that the logbooks were kind of more of a hindrance than a help, and so we are shifting from that and to going to look at the Bible lessons at a glance and doing more conversation, which in a minute Bethany will come up and talk to you how you can kind of maybe infiltrate that a little bit better. The other change is that we are encouraging, Stephanie told me about this statistic the other day, I don't remember exactly, but basically the number one thing that influences a child's coming to Christ and staying with Christ through their life is their home life with their parents and their family. That is the number one. So we can tell them this stuff, we can encourage them, we can share the truth with them, but we really want to give them a tool to go home and talk with their parents about this so that it can be something that incorporates into their whole family, because we know that's where the fruit is. And maybe they're going home to someone who isn't saved, and this is something new to them. So we will be giving out every day a sheet that has questions on it, that has discussion things that will help them kind of summarize the day of what we learned, maybe get it in their brain a little more. And then if they come back the next day and they have that form that was been filled out, then they get a prize. So the assistant coaches, and we'll talk about this in their bag, but they'll get a prize. There's these cool Olympion bands. We're going to have some keychains and stickers and stuff. So we really want to encourage them when we give them those forms at the end of the day. Remember, you get to bring this back. But what we really want is not about the prize. It's about them bringing that conversation to their home and discussing it with their family. So we're really excited about that update too. This here is a glossary of terms that you might hear me say every year with Reach Out. They have, because they want to really go on their theme, they have different words that they'll say. So we have Olympion athletes. Our kids are athletes. So we can call them our little athletes or whatever. That phrase doesn't really sit well with me. I just don't feel like an athlete, but I know I'm an athlete in the race of life, right? So that's what we mean. We're running the race of life and faith, so we are all athletes for that. So we call our days, well, we can just go to the top. So an assistant coach is a crew leader. If you know you're an assistant coach, raise your hand. Awesome. Okay. So assistant coach is a crew leader, which means you're over 4 to 5 kids. A buddy is a youth volunteer that's going to go along with them. The closing ceremonies is what we call our daily assemble at the end. Just like in the Olympics, they have closing ceremonies. A coach is a classroom coordinator. So Bethany and Miss Diane. Course instructions are what our announcements are going to be. So I will give those announcements during our assemblies. Then we have events, which is our different days. So whenever you look through your stuff, it'll say event 1, which means the first day, Monday. Event 2, Tuesday. Our games, we call our recreation time games. We have our gospel coach, which is Katie's title. We have our head coach, which will be, I guess, my title since I'll be the announcer. We have a league, which is a grade group. So League A, B, C, and D, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. We have our athletes. We have our opening assemblies, which is our morning daily assembly. We have our race of life and faith, which is our wordage for our gospel presentation. Our refueling station is what we're calling snacks. We have our song leader, which we call our song coach. This will be our arena, which I'm excited for how Lakin and Elizabeth are decorating it. It's going to be our big arena. We'll have training rooms, which are our classrooms. Training time, which is the time that you spend with your league in that classroom. An assistant coach. Ooh, it made that twice. Y'all are so important. And then, okay. So the next one shows our leagues and the ages, if you ever get confused on which league is which age. And then we have our memory verse, which we're going to go over at the very end, but it is Hebrews 12, 1 and 2. Let us run with endurance the race that is set before us, looking to Jesus, the founder and perfecter of our faith. And it goes on, and it says that for the joy set before him, now I'm going to forget, for the joy set before him, endured the cross, despite the shame, and now is seated at the right hand of God, right? I had to actually think of the song to do it, but anyway. Okay, so the next page, we've already kind of talked about. This is what you will have in your bag or your clipboard for your assigned group for the day. The one thing that's different is that we have themed training rooms this year, which we're excited about. So we have 3 different training rooms that the older kids, which is the 1st and 2nd graders, 3rd and 4th, 5th and 6th groups, they rotate. They go to a training room every day. Well, they are also going to rotate training rooms. So if you see the training room or training center rotation, it'll show what event you will be at or what day you will be in which room, if that makes sense. And I actually think I'll just go ahead and bring Bethany up now to talk about that. So we're going to be rotating through those rooms, and we have assigned games for that time, and Bethany's going to talk about why we were choosing to do certain things during that time. That's on our next page, which says VBS training time. Yeah, please.
Okay, well, so we, just as we think about VBS, I'm sorry, I got to use the mic. Is it on? Yeah. Okay. Sorry, y'all. I'm just going to be honest. I'm not very prepared for this because I been out of town all week. But Joy and I, after doing VBS last year, I learned a lot being a coach. It was called something else last year, but just about, VBS is a lot, right? They're here for 5 days for 3 hours, and there's a lot of fun different things between all the things with the assembly and the snacks and the crafts and the games, and it's all awesome. But you have these 2 times that you get to be with just your group in the right after the opening assembly and then before the closing time, where it's just your group. And I learned a lot last year about really how do we make the most of that time. And when we think about VBS, I think personally, I'm like, there's really 2 main things that if we think, what are the big picture goals of VBS? And, it's the only time in a year that kids get to come to church 5 days in a row, 3 hours. They're here for 15 hours. Think about how many Sundays a child would be in church, how many Sunday schools it would take to meet 15 hours. So it really is an incredible time to make the most of it with these kids. And so I think about 2 things. One is, we want them to connect with each other. You know, just like we need friends, we need community, we need to feel like we're not alone. We want every child who walks in the door and comes into your group, if you're a coach, an assistant coach, whatever you're doing, to feel like they have a place here, that they have friends, that whether it's the first time they've ever walked through our doors, that they're known, that they're seen, and that they're not alone. And so we want to help foster that, of bringing them together, of making sure they feel like they're introduced to someone, that they have someone to sit next to, that we're asking them questions, getting to know them, and that they walk away from VBS feeling like they have friends. Whether they feel really comfortable and they already had friends, that they know them deeper, or if they really don't feel like they have a lot of friends, that they walk away feeling like they do. And so we have the opportunity to foster that with them. And then the second thing is that they would that we would connect them to the Lord. And so they're going to learn a lot of different things. The Bible stories I know will be incredible. And, you know, last year was Jonah, this year's Joshua, and it's really cool to get to hear the kids, like, memorize. I mean, even Patterson last year for Miss Elizabeth, like, he still knows every detail of the story of Jonah. But what I think is most important is not all the details, but that the way that God pursued Jonah and was present with Jonah through that. And so we want to help foster them, pointing them to Jesus. And so specifically what I just want to talk about is these 2 training times. So if you're a coach or an assistant coach, you're going to be with your kids in a classroom for a specific amount of time every day. And so at that time, I remember the first day, I had 5th and 6th graders. They all come in, and it's kind of crazy. And I'm like, okay, wait, what am I supposed to do? Like, what is this time? And it's really easy for it to get away from you. So what I just briefly want to talk about is being intentional. And let me just say this too, with being intentional. It's VBS. One of the fun things about VBS, I think, is you get to volunteer with your community. So it's like we're all going to be together, right? And there's a lot of people not here that are going to be with us if you're, you know, listening to this. And so it's really fun to get to catch up with your friends. But also, we need to be reminded that that's really not what VBS time is for. It really is to engage with kids. So we, you know, catch up later, but when you're here from 9 to 12, we're really to be focused on these kids. So I say that because when we're in these times in these classrooms, let's make the most of it. So during the first training time, or not training time, I'm sorry, or is that what it's called? Yeah, training time. I'll just use this. We're going to really use that time for the kids to get to know each other. So when they go in the classroom, we are going to give you a get to know you game. Will that be printed out for them? Okay, I'm sorry. Okay. So again, this is the time when we go back to connecting with each other, that they'll get to know each other. So we're going to have different name games, because if nothing else, you know, what's one of the best things that someone can know about us? They can know our name. You know, just to know that my name is Bethany, and that when I'm in that VBS classroom, that everyone is calling me Bethany. They're not like, wait, who's that child? You know, and that all the kids know each other's names. So we'll be doing organized, and it'll go with the sport since there's different sports themes, but they're going to do a name game. Now, so that'll be the main focus of that time, is lead them through that name game. Make it fun. You know, have them each, and part of the games will be them repeating each other's names. So learning different things about them. So things that they love, things that they're doing that summer. Even, you know, just there's going to be questions there, but you're going to have a specific name game that you're going to do with them that first time. And that's the focus, for them to connect with each other. So then when they go throughout the morning, that they feel like they know each other. And I would encourage your kids, especially the older ones, but really, I mean, all the way down, be a good friend today, you know. Ask your friends questions as you're going, you know, as we're walking, you know, get to know each other. Like, you may not feel like you know people right now, but by Friday, we want to be friends with each other. And so, just so that training time will be that. And then the second training time is more the summary of the day. So last year, if you volunteered, there were log books, and that's what we really worked through during the second training time. But this time, we're not doing log books, but what we are going to do is we are going to do discussion. So there will be some discussion questions from the day. And this is the time that The assistant coaches, I would say, like the first time will be more all together, but the second training time will be when the assistant coaches, you'll circle up with your group. So as an assistant coach, this is really your time with your group to really talk about Jesus, talk about what they're learning, answer questions. And so there will be some discussion time to add. I would encourage you, sit on the floor with them in a circle. One of the best things we can do with kids is be at their level. And so sit with them and really engage them. And then we're also going to be reviewing, so there's all different things they'll be learning, but we're going to review the main scripture, the Hebrews verse about let us running the race with endurance that's set before us. So every day you can see we'll focus on a different part of the verse. So our goal and our hope is that by the end of the week that they would memorize Hebrews 12, 1 and 2, and that they wouldn't not just know it, but really understand, what does it mean that we run with endurance? What does it mean that we look to Jesus, that he endured the cross? And so we will give you discussion questions, but also just that you would really think, how can I point these kids to Jesus? How can I show them more of Jesus this week? How can I help them understand the gospel on a deeper way? That if nothing else, if they don't remember anything else from this week, that they remember Jesus. And I did it in my notebook and I've lost it. But sorry, y'all, I'm not very organized. But I remember I read a book a while ago that some of you guys have read, Show Them Jesus, and the author talked about, and I don't remember the full thing, but how he talked about it every lesson, just holding up a piece of paper that said Jesus, because that's the goal, that we want them, obviously we want them to learn stories of the Bible, but ultimately, who is the hero? Jesus. Who do we want them to see more of? Who do we want them to know? And every single child in this room, that they would walk away knowing that even Miss Elizabeth has the youngest 2s and 3s, but those kids, that matters, and that they would get to hear the gospel from a young age, and from the oldest kids. And there may be kids who come, and I would just close with this too, that say that I had a girl in my group last year that had never heard about Jesus dying on the cross. She didn't know anything about it. And it was a great opportunity as a group to really talk through that, because some of the other kids were like, wait, how have you never heard about that? So I would just encourage you, come in open-handed and prayerful, that there may be kids who they're not going to know all the Bible stories. And so let's not assume, oh, you guys have heard that. It's easy to say, this story, or this, or but let's start, because even the kids who have been in church every Sunday, they need to hear it too. And so I would say just make the most. So the first time will be connect with each other, follow those games that we give you, and then the second time, training time, would be focus on that verse and focus on, the discussion questions. And the discussion questions, I'm sorry, they are in, do you want me to talk about? Okay, sorry. In this overview, it's really going to be from that. And so I would just say, too, before you come to VBS, we want to connect with the Lord, too. We need to connect with the Lord. So it would be great over the next week to read the story of Joshua, to read these passages that are here so that you're familiar with it. You're familiar with what Miss Tammy is going to be teaching, but also that this is really where the discussion questions for the training time is going to come from. So you will just be basically summing up that time as Miss Tammy will be teaching it, but then you'll really have the opportunity to sum it up and, again, just point it back to Jesus. And she will be doing that too, but just specifically in your small group. So that's it.
Yeah, give her a hand. Thank you, Bethany. She's had a long week. So that Bible lessons at a glance is what she's talking about as far as the discussion questions. It gives an overview of each day. It gives the main theme of the day, a story outline, and at the end of that day, it shows an application. And those questions are going to come from that. So that would be really great for all of us to fully grasp and understand the story of Joshua. So I encourage you to look over that this week. and so that you can kind of be prepared for that in your heart to share that with them. Okay, so now we're going to flip back to, make sure I'm not skipping anything, the VBS overview, which is right behind your Bible lessons at a glance. Okay, and this is where we're going to kind of talk about specifics as far as VBS, but I want to stop real quick. Does anybody have any questions about the stuff we've gone over so far? Because I know if we go too far, you'll forget that question, and I want to make sure we get them. Yes? Yes, I think I've given you one, but I have another one for your grade group. That was a sample schedule, that League A, and so we'll make sure every coach and leader has their own schedule as far as what you're going to be doing, and then on the day, if you're a coach or assistant coach, you'll be given that so that you can help your coach follow the schedule and make sure that everybody's kind of going together. Okay, yes, I will do that. The VBS overview here. So we're going to talk about the just logistics of VBS, which there are a lot of them. Just as an update, we have, I think, 67 kids registered so far, which is exciting. And we know and hope that in the last week, we usually have a few that will jump on board. And then we also will have a few that will walk into the door and will be registered then. So it's important, especially on the first day, but every single day, that we all arrive and are ready to receive the kids. That's a lot of kids, that are going to be walking in the door, and we don't want to be behind them. We want to be ready to receive them, right? Yes, Ms. Elizabeth? Okay, great. Well, that's what we're about to talk about. Great. Okay, so we want to arrive here at 8:45 at the latest so that we can situate ourselves, go potty, do whatever you need to do so that you can come in this room, and hopefully 5 to 10 minutes before we open the doors, we can all have a time of prayer, which is always a little bit crazy because our kids are already here running around, but we'll stop and we'll pray and really center ourselves on what we're doing here, and then we'll open the doors. Sorry, my phone is on loud. We'll open the doors, and we will and that's when we'll receive our kids. So we will hopefully be registering them like a little bit before 9. On the first day, we end up starting a little bit later because of the registration. But we'll have assigned sections, and we'll go over that in a second. But what Miss Elizabeth just said is she is the 2 and 3 leader, which is only for volunteers kids. So quite a few of us in here have 2 and 3-year-olds. They will be in the 1st through 2nd grade room, the end of this hall. And you want to drop them off prior to coming in here. There's not another time to do it. You're going to drop off 4. She said she will be here graciously at 8:30 so that we can drop our kids off, situate ourselves, and be ready to receive children when they arrive. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay. So we want to do that prior. If you have kids in nursery, that same thing applies. I believe our nursery workers will be here around 8:30, 8:45, 8:30, so we can have all of our kids situated. Okay? And if you drop your kid off and Miss Elizabeth doesn't have your phone number, we just need to make sure that all the mamas for those kids. That way, if she needed to contact you real quickly, me and Miss Stephanie will be the runners as far as like if y'all need anything, an emergency, our numbers will be on the bottom of your schedule. So if you need anything at any time, that's who you're going to call. But Miss Elizabeth might want to have your number too if you have a 2 and 3-year-old. Okay. All right. So the coaches, during this arrival time, we are going to have the registration table against the side of the sound booth so that there's only one little entrance and exit that our kids can come in and out of, okay? So we want our coaches to stand by the registration table. Our assistant coaches are going to be in their spot in their assigned area of the sanctuary. The coaches, once a child arrives that's in your group, your league, they'll be signed in, and once they receive their name tag, then you can usher them to their leader, which you're going to have a chart that has all of your kids and who their leader is. So you know, okay, this one goes to Laurel, this one goes to whoever, and then you're going to say, hi, such and such, this is Laurel, your crew leader or your assistant coach, and introduce them, and then you go back to the table to receive another child. You have a question, Amber? Amber's asking how many are in each group. We aim to keep the most at 6. Right now we have a little bit of a shortage of crew leaders, so I'm hoping we do not have to exceed that, but our goal is 4 to 5, and some groups might have 6 kids. But the grade group for the whole, so that's a crew, that makes sense, and then the grade group will be made up of all that are in that group, and right now the largest one is 18. Does that make sense? So we'll take those 18 kids, break them down, and put them underneath a crew leader or assistant coach. I always want to say crew leader. Okay, so you'll drop them off. So what you are going to be receiving on that day, coaches, is a clipboard. You'll have your schedule. You'll have an attendance sheet of all the children you should be expecting and any necessary special information for that day. You're also going to have an envelope for missions offerings, which we'll go over in a minute. And then once your kid has a name tag at the registration desk, you're going to usher them to their league area, introduce them to their crew leader. Okay, and you're going to do that. You're going to go back and forth until assembly starts or until you've received all your children, whichever comes first. Okay, during that time, you're going to be marking your attendance sheet. You want to know which kids do I have today, because maybe Johnny didn't come today, and you don't want to be looking for him. So when you bring your kid over, you're going to mark your attendance sheet to make sure you know that they're there. This is the coach's responsibility. The children are going to check in, or I'm sorry, I skipped a spot. You're going to make sure they have their name tag, and you're going to allow the missions offering this year is going to be shoes. So you're going to make them keep those. Last year, they just put them in the buckets, but we have a purpose for having them hold on to them in their section, okay? All right, so the assistant coaches and the buddies during this time you're going to be waiting for your kids. You're also going to have a bag that you can find. It'll have your specific crew number on it. Which if you're confused about that at all, it's already in that sheet where it has your name on it, what number you are, but your coach will have that, the registration desk coach will have that, so just be sure to check that you have the right bag. And then you are going to just wait for your kids. And just like Bethany said, the time before build up, that's a great time to get to know the kids. Like, what is your name? Have you been here before? Introduce them to other kids. But you want to focus on your whole group, but your main focus is those 4 to 6 kids. Are they feeling connected? Are they feeling loved? And if we all do that, then all of our kids will be seen, okay? Let me see. So you're going to carry your bag with you throughout the day. Inside the assistant coach's bag is going to have some first aid items like Band-Aids and things like that, tissues, your schedule so that you can be mindful of your schedule too. You're going to have a copy of this Bible Lessons at a Glance so that when you get to those times when you're going to be going over them, you'll be able to go over them. And then we'll also have those handouts for the end of the day. Any handout that you're going to be responsible to give your child or your crew, we'll have those in there too. So at the end of the day, you know that you'll be handing those out to them, okay? You'll also have those prizes that we spoke of for when they come home the next day. So you're only going to be giving those probably when they arrive and they come to you, oh, look what I brought, and then you'll let them have a selection of the prizes, okay? We're not going to try to do that throughout the day because we don't want to cause distractions with kids or be like, what else do you have in your bag? So we're just going to make sure we do that probably in the morning assembly, or if you can't do it then, do it at your first training time, give those out, and then that's done for the day. That makes sense, okay? If you need more prizes, if your kids do super awesome, then just let me know and we'll have more for you, but you'll just have a few in there. Okay. That's the assistant coaches. Yes, ma'am. That's okay. So then at the end of the day, some of you are going to be coming some days, and then you're going to have a sub another day, and then you're coming back. So you're going to leave your bag neatly against the wall in your area. So the next day, whoever's coming knows exactly where to go to get it. We're not bringing these home with us. We're going to leave them here at the end of the day. Okay. So for station coordinators, which I don't think we have any in this room today, but they might be watching, this is the time from 9, if you look at the main, like the little schedule, but from 9 till 9:40, you do not have anybody at your station. So that is a time when you come, you can set up your station. If you didn't have time to do it before, or that's your time that you're planning to do it, you can set up your station, make sure you're ready to receive the children at 9:40. But if you want to come to assembly, we really highly recommend that. I remember the first year I served, I was the kid vid person, and I didn't know that I was, or I probably got told, but I didn't know that I could come to assemblies, and I came like the last day, and I was like, I've been missing out. This is so fun, because I was always getting ready. So if you can get ready before and come and sit in the assembly, it's going to be fun. We're going to have skits. We're going to have games and rewards and things like that. So I encourage the station leaders or whoever's working in the station, if you can, come to it because it's fun. but you also have that time to set up if you need. During the opening ceremonies, which we kind of talked about before, you're going to have the taped off area. You're going to stay in that area. We're not intermingling. That way, whenever we dismiss, we all can go to our spots or to our classrooms. We're going to take advantage of that time. We want to connect with our kids. We want to sing along. Okay, we're not going to do emotions training today, but I will include in the email I'll send out of this training a link to all of the hand motions training. So if you want to play those songs and learn the motions, if not, just follow along with the kids that are up here and with the things. They're going to have fun if you have fun. And so we want you to really engage and have fun and just be silly and enjoy it. If you're sitting down, they're probably going to want to sit down with you. So there's that. But the opening ceremonies, just to give you an idea, are going to include course instructions, announcements, skits led by Miss Dana, missions offerings, gospel presentations, and then more music and motions and things like that before we dismiss. So that's what those are going to consist of. Then we're going to move into training time, which Bethany already talked about. But each day, as soon as you leave, you look at the schedule here, you're going to go to your assigned training room. When you get to that training room, that's when your coach will know this, but they'll go through their first get to know you game, which our themes for our rooms are basketball, tennis, and archery for our themes. And so you'll have a game that's kind of to do with that. We have a basketball hoop. They'll get to play a game with the hoop. And so we're going to kind of go on that theme, but we're going to play that game right after they leave here, and that's to get to know them. Just make sure you note, coaches and assistant coaches, at the beginning of the day on your schedule which room you are supposed to be in for that day, because we are rotating each day. That makes sense. And it's on your schedule. Now, Miss Diane's looking at me crazy. That's because you are not rotating. You have the same room. We're not going to confuse our 4 and 5-year-olds. So just make sure you note that. During the second training time, which Bethany talked about, that's when we're leading discussions, and we're going to break into crews, and we're going to talk about application from the whole day. You will have a copy of that Bible Lessons at a Glance in your bag. And then the coaches really are going to be leading that time. So assistant coaches, don't feel like you have to come up with anything or anything like that. Coaches are going to be prepared to know how to facilitate the time. You are just there to take whatever instruction they have and engage your children with that. Okay. All right, so as far as stations go, there are 4, which we've talked about. There's Bible, recreation, crafts, and snack. On your schedule, which might be helpful just to look at if you want to, on your schedule is the times that you will be there. So if you look at the first event, which is 9:40 to 9:57 on the time, that 9:57 is intentional. That is when you should leave your station, because there is going to be hallway, you're going down the hallways. You have to make it to your next station. But our hope is if you leave at that time, that you will be able to start your next station at the assigned time, which would be 3 minutes later, like 10 o'clock, okay, at a round number. So we want to make sure we're moving through those stations at the right time. Now, when you're at a station, you are not the leader. You'll have the station leader will be the leader. You're just there to crowd control. At crafts, your kiddos might need help with glue. They only have 2 people in that room. So this is not time to sit back and talk with our friends. We really want to engage our kids still and be like, oh, can I help you with that? So that way everything's flowing smoothly. Snacks, our snack leader may ask you to refill their water for them. So we're just going to be doing whatever our station leader needs us to do at that point. When it's time to leave the station, you'll be gathering your kids together, making sure they're getting all their stuff, they're not leaving anything behind, throwing trash away, and leaving a clean space for the next group. Okay, so a special note about snack time, you'll see, is last year we bundled this with bathroom time, and it worked really great. So our plan this year is during snack time, when you get in, she'll instruct you on, give you the snacks. You'll probably be around tables or on the floor in your group, and y'all will have your snack. in order of 1 to however many crews you have. Okay, so Miss Destiny might be crew leader number 1, and she'll know that. It'll be on her bag. She'll understand that. Katie, you might be crew leader number 2. Crew leader number 1 knows that as soon as they get settled in there, you are taking your whole crew to the bathroom. You're not leaving any crew. If one kid says, I don't have to go, doesn't matter. We're going to take the whole group to the hallway, and they're going to go to the bathroom. You're going to move as a unit. So nobody is leaving a kid behind, and you're like, hey, you, watch him while I do this. You're just going to take your whole group. It's more efficient that way. You will go to the bathroom, and there will be someone, your coach will stand in the hall as well. So you and your coach, and there will sometimes be a hall monitor if there's needed extra help. That you can stand at either door of the boys and the girls' bathroom. Let them go in, do their business. When your whole crew is back in the hallway, your 4 to 5 kids, then you'll go back in the snack room, and then it'll be team 2 or crew 2's turn, right? Crew 2 will do the same thing, then crew 3, then crew 4, and that way everyone has a chance to go to the bathroom, but it's orderly and nobody is kind of figure out what to do, and there's no chaos in the hallways. Does that make sense? Okay, so that's our plan for the bathrooms. There's another special thing about the bathroom time, the snack time, is that this is our time. We really don't want any time that we're not being intentional. So every day, this is if you've noticed from the other parts, this is our life, our path of life and faith, which is our gospel presentation where we're running our race. So each day, Katie is going to go over a different element of it, right? So the first day we don't go over it, but the second day we do. And the second day, she's going to go over 1 and 2. So that day on your table will be this little board, which has our path on it, and it will have our little racers. So this is a time for you to engage with your kids to say, so what did we talk about in our gospel presentation? And you will have a copy of it with all the words on it, okay? So you can go over the element of the gospel, which, it will say in the beginning, life made man, happy and holy is our first one, right? So then you get to put your runner on it. You can pick a different kid every day. You get to put our runner on it. And then by the end of the day, when you put all 5 on there, on the end of the week, when you put all 5, you can quiz them. Be like, oh, do you remember number 1? What's number 1? In the beginning, God made people happy and holy. And so hopefully this is a way to remind them visually of what they learned, to talk about it. So it is important for you to understand them, even though you will have your little cheat sheet guide there. So after you've gone to the bathroom or before you've gone to the bathroom, when you're sitting around just munching on your snacks, talk to them, but make it fun. It's not like another lesson. It's not another lesson. It's just a time to jog their brain, help them to remember, and make it fun about that. We might even, I haven't done this yet, but we might even have some scramble games where we'll be okay, who can put this together fastest, and you can scramble it, or you can take all the things off and be who can put all the people on, because there'll be 5 of them, who can put all the people on the right order, the fastest. So you only have 17 minutes, so it's not a ton of time to eat, go to the bathroom, and do this. But by the end of the week, if you spent 5 minutes on this every day, it'll be something that sticks a little more rather than just hearing it in the beginning. Does that make sense? And Gabby, thank you for putting those together for me. Appreciate it. Okay, so closing ceremonies is our next section. After our last training time, so on our little sample schedule, you'll see that we have all of our events. So we get opening ceremonies, all of our events. So they've done their Bible, their craft, their snack, their games. Before they come back in here, you have a 17-minute segment with them where this is where you do that second discussion question time with the crews in your training room again, okay? And then they're going to come in here. After that, at the right time, everybody's going to come in here, and we'll begin our closing ceremonies. At closing ceremonies, we're going to go over the skits, the missions offering updates and races, the music and motions, and the last day we'll get to do the pie in the face reward again for whoever did the most missions. We'll see if we can get Pastor Jim to let us pie him in the face again. So that will be fun. But at the end of our closing assembly, the coaches will do the same thing in reverse. You're going to go back to the registration table. When a parent comes with their slip of paper and tells the registration table, I'm here to pick up such and such, They will look to you, and you can go grab your child and bring them back to the registration table, and they will go with their parents. If kids try to crowd around there to look for their parents, please tell them, don't worry about it. Like, you still play with them or something, but let's not crowd the back table at all. We have it where if all the coaches are back there and the registration team, they will come. Just reassure your kid, they're going to get you as soon as mom is here. Like, don't worry about it, because there's already going to be a bunch of parents in there, and we're going to try to do it one at a time. And because there's only going to be one little entrance in and out, we hope that will alleviate any confusion of where kids are at any given time. Okay. That's the time, assistant coaches, when you will hand out any handouts to your kids, and then you'll leave your bags. And once all of your kids have been picked up, then you are free to go pick up your kids. You do not have to be told. You can just say, okay, all my kids are gone. Tell your coach, hey, I'm going to pick up my kids from either another crew, which that you still have to go to the registration table to check out your kids. Just keep that in mind, please. So go to the registration table, check out your kids, then go get your kids in the child care, and then you're free to go. But if you have to go, and you still have 2 kids that their parents have not picked them up, you would then say, coach or an assistant leader or assistant coach that might have 1 kid left and is okay to stay, can you please hold my kids? Okay, so you're never, ever going to leave without your kids being picked up or taken care of, okay? So that way, if Bethany is running back and forth and you say to another assistant coach, you watch them, so that way they have someone to hold on to until their parent gets here. Does that make sense? Just never going to leave them. But we just want, last time I think I was even confused, like, we want to make sure that you pick up your kids, because at one point we're all sitting around and we all had each other's kids. So, like, because there's a lot of volunteers' kids that are here at VBS. So just as soon as your kids are gone, you can go check them out. Go check your kids out of nursery if necessary, and then you're free to go for the day. And then we'll see you back here by 8:45 the next day. Okay. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Mhm. 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 So are you saying during assembly or at the end? Okay. What it is, where it is, whatever. A small procedure to do to just boys that God commanded them to do as a sign that they were set apart. Leave it at that. No anatomy is needed. Does that make sense? Any mom feel bad about that explanation? Okay. That's very true. Yeah. Yeah, Jessica's saying that some children might be like, oh, I know what that is, and give a whole, discussion. So then you would be like, okay, moving on, and try to redirect. That's a very good point, Katie. Oh, yeah. Well, I don't think, if we talk about Old Covenant versus New Covenant, so then we're getting into theology, but you can say this was a sign before Jesus. Put that in there. Before Jesus came and fulfilled all the law, that you were set apart. And then they're like, okay, well, we got Jesus now. Point blank, done. And if they have a question, they can talk to their mama. Yeah. Yeah. Does that make sense? Yeah. Because no one should feel condemned for that decision, because that is not what is required by God from us anymore. Okay. All right. Any other questions? That was a good one, Katie. No? Yes, Amber? That's fine. No, don't apologize. Here, I'll give you the mic. Okay, sorry. No head. Stephanie is, but no, I'm not. I'm done. Okay, great. Steph, you want to come do policies and procedures for us? Okay, great. There's a section in the back of your book for this, by the way. If you didn't find it.
Yes, the section is, before we get into policies and procedures, We're going to talk about our mission that we're doing this year. And before I do that, I just want to say a huge shout out to Joy Toves and how much she has done. Y'all, she has labored and labored and labored. She needs to be on the payroll. She's so good. I mean, it was just amazing, all the effort and the time. Even going back and forth with the main PCA, the people who wrote the curriculum, and trying to make this very helpful and conducive and beneficial for our children and for you. It's a big deal. All right, so anyway, and thank you guys too, we couldn't do it without you. This year, our mission focus is fostering together for the Gulf Coast. And many of you know our orphan care ministry at our church. We help them. We provide resources. Just a couple weeks ago, they were out, it was at South, providing lunch for all the foster families. So there's been numerous ways that our orphan care ministry has ministered to this organization, and it basically is helping foster and adoptive families. Resources are provided for them, and we're partnering with them this year. Last year we did book bags for Forest Hills Elementary. This year we're going to provide shoes. Since we're running the race, we're going to provide shoes, and we're going to encourage the children. This is one of the things that kids get so excited about, this missions moment, because it's a friendly competition, and they're all eager. And I think last year it was like 80-something backpacks. And so this year we'd love to see 100 shoes come in that we can go and share with this really important and vital ministry in our community. We do ask, this is right after the training time too, you can see where they're fostering together. No athletes, no cleats, they don't want cleats. But any other shoes in very good condition or new, they'll take. So sandals, Crocs, all that, they'll take those things. So it will have a friendly competition between all the different leagues, and for the week we'll have bins. But like she said, I'm glad Joey brought that up. You will encourage your children, and we'll also provide this to the parents so they can understand what we're doing, probably maybe with the discussion questions that we send home. They'll bring them straight to their circle, to their group, and not to the bin like we did last year. So that's important for them to be aware of. All right, let's move on. Any questions about that, about our missions? Shoes for children. Yes, I am so sorry. Babies, I think it says it right there, babies through teen size. Yeah, I bet you know a teenager wears Hannah's bigger than me. You know what I'm saying? So it's adult, but just keep in mind when you're thinking about bringing shoes, the appropriate type of shoe for that age. Thank you. That's a great question. Policies here. I'm not going to read them. If you'll look on page 1, this is the policies for our church, Grace Community Church, that we use for our child care and for nursery. I think one of the first things, of course, y'all are not going to do written applications and things like that, is that we always want to make sure there are at least 2 people in a room with all children for your safety and the safety of the children. I don't think that's going to be a problem during VBS, but if for some reason you're left and you're standing around and you're the only adult with 10 children, you need to text Joy or I, and we will come and help you or assist you in what we need to, whatever way we can. But it's for your safety. It really is. For you guys who are, let's look on the next. All of you should have had background checks too. We just need to make sure. I think everybody in here, if you're over 18, if you haven't had a background check in the last 3 or 4 years, see me or text me and say, I need to get, I'll just say, it's like it takes you like 3 minutes. It's so easy. But to cover you, to cover us, for the safety of all, one of the greatest ways we love our children, first, the greatest way we know is sharing and showing the love of Jesus, but we do that by keeping them safe. And so thank you for doing everything you can to keep them safe. Let's move on to the page. The restroom guidelines, I'm not going to go through a lot of that because we just shared snack time's restroom time. If you have a child in tears during another station, I cannot wait. I have to go. What we do usually is you could call, like text Joy or I to come and take that child. But really, we want to try to eliminate that. Most children they want something to do. I've learned in life that a lot of times it's I just kind of want to get out of the room, so I think I have to go to the bathroom. So encourage them, we're going to go during snack time, but if it's an absolute, you can tell this child's about in tears, then text me or Joy, because that's what we're here for. We're here to be runners and assist you. Yes, Joy? Yes, that is one of the safety things. You do not go into the restroom with children. You stand outside the stall. Even like Miss Sheila, she'll just leave the main door open. And if the kids can just holler, I need help with my belt. Well, when they come out of the stall, you help them with their belt or something like that. Okay, do not be alone in a stall with a child, please, for your safety and for the safety of the children. Yeah. Like, for example, there's 2 stalls, I think, in each restroom. So I would allow, I guess, 2 children, and you have the rest of them in the hallway just standing in a line. And you just have them go. And they may not need to go. If they don't, you can't force it either, So we can't, but if they need to go, we need to make sure they do that. But you keep yourself safe, and you keep those little ones safe, and we're going to be good to go. Some positive on the page 6 of the policies and procedures. I'm just going to highlight a few of these things about management and discipline. One of the greatest ways to get kids' attention when they're kind of acting up, or you see something going on, is to bring out something that another child is doing well. I like the way little Everett is sitting so nice and still with crisscross applesauce or whatever it is. And all of a sudden the kid's kind of like, okay. It's kind of an encouragement for them to do the same. We don't want to shame or embarrass children. I would encourage you to go, get on their level and maybe just pull them aside or speak to them one-on-one, what's going on, or do you have a question, or try to redirect their behavior. A lot of behavior management is just redirecting. You're constantly, having children, you're just redirecting. They get upset, they're crying, they want their mommy. Don't give a 10-minute explanation about their mommy and talk about it. Your mommy's going to come, and she's going to come soon. But right now, what did you think about Joshua in that story? Or just something to redirect with another conversation with the child. Because we want to love them. We don't want to just say, shh, they'll be here. It's, again, loving, engaging, intentionality, showing and sharing the love of Christ in all that we say and that we do. Even when you can incorporate, if you have to, pull them aside, say, I think incorporating the gospel even at that point, like, seems like you're having a hard time. If they hit a child or something like that happens, you may want to pull them aside and say, hey, what's going on there? Why did you feel the need to do that? And that maybe hurt little Susie when you did that. And we all maybe hurt other people sometimes because of sin in our hearts. Miss Stephanie has a lot of sin in her heart, and you do too, and that's why we need Jesus. And it's just be creative. Like, not just in the times of we're getting to know each other, but how, God, can I take the gospel and even in behavior situations and make you, honor you and glorify you through that. Because Jesus loves them, and we need Jesus so much, just as much as the children needs Jesus. All right, the protection and safety on the next page on 7, I want to really focus on that. Okay, and another, it's the grace, where he says grace prohibits the following. One of the main things I'm going to say here is the lap sitting, because children love to go and sit in your laps. It's just kind of a natural little thing. But again, I'm going to ask you to discourage that as much as you can. If a child absolutely you see needs some type of affection, the child, if they are sitting in your lap, I would ask that they sit with their feet facing outward, not wrapped around you. And even if that, I would really, really discourage that even at all. Because I know the 4 and 5s I watched, and they were all wanting to sit in y'all's laps. They love the youth. The youth are the coolest people in the world. They just cling. And I get it, because y'all are so awesome. But again, I just would say, just, be aware of that. I'm not going to sit there and make you pull a child off of you, but I would encourage you to just say, come sit beside me. I think I like to have a little side hug. We like side hugs. We like fist bumps. You know, we call it catch and release. If a child wants to come and just embrace you for a long time, I wouldn't do that. I would just say kind of like, if they come and they straight up want to hug you, say just catch and release. Kind of catch them real fast and release real fast. Is that we're not doing these embracing, endearing types of hugs. You know, and some children they're so craving that you'll be surprised they'll want to come up and do that. You know, but again, for their safety, let's not do that. Okay. All right. The next thing I want to see is on page 8. We are so thankful for our deacons who will be patrolling the facilities. And Joy has already gone over what I was going to say. Stay with your children, and we'll go get their parents. You just don't let the children run around. I don't need to go over what she's already said, but that was one of the things I wanted to highlight. We do not want to have a child missing. And if I think we follow exactly what Joy said, we're not going to have a problem. So thank you for that detailed description of how to keep them with their group at all times. For all of you guys, and I think you all know this, our goal is intentional conversations with these little ones and not with our phone. So whatever you have to do, put your phone away, turn it on, make sure it doesn't ring. You need to put the phones away. The focus is on the children, or again, you know, always on the children. And especially, you know, just, anyway. I mean, if you have a situation where you're like, I really have, a doctor's getting ready to call me, if you got an Apple Watch, I guess you could check it on that. But just try to take care of all your business before and after, because that can be distracting. Just as much as we want to communicate with each other, that phone, can be a distraction. And it can take us away from the main thing of what we're here for. I'm preaching that to myself. I'm going to have to probably lock mine away in my car or something. Yes, ma'am. Okay, that's another great point. Joy just asked, or just made the statement that we are not showing the children anything on our phones. You may say, oh, I got a really cool picture of Joshua that I just came across when I was teaching my kids about Joshua at home. Just don't do that. Just no screens, okay? No screens at all. Best if we have nothing at all to show them, because we just don't. First of all, I always want to respect parents. Some parents don't allow phones, and we want to respect that. And you just never know what may end up flicking on before you get to that, and they may see something, and it's just, anyway, no phones for any reason at any time. Any other questions about the policies and procedures? You can go read through these. A lot of this pertains to Sunday mornings. You don't have to worry. You're not going to be worrying about diapering and stuff like that. Those are for our nursery workers. But again, this is another way we love our children, is by keeping them safe. I want to keep you safe. I used to never think about policies and procedures until I went through a certification program. And you hear some stories and you read some books and you go, this is a big deal. We want to make sure our kids are safe. Yes.
So last year, I don't remember what age group I had. It's fine. But I had a kid that had a phone, and it was like younger, and so that was the whole thing of like, all the kids wanted to be on it, and I was like, what do we do with the kids?
Yeah. Yes. Okay. That situation, the question was asked when children are bringing the phones. It's not the adults, it's the children. I would ask if that child say, let me keep that because I don't want your phone to get lost. Do you want to have something to say, Joy? Okay. I would take the phone if I was in that situation, and I want to keep it safe for you, and we'll give it back to you right before you go. And we may be able to communicate with the parents up front. We would ask that no phones be allowed for the protection and safety. We don't want them to get lost. If there is a situation where we need to get in touch with you, we have your phone number, and an adult will call you. But Joy, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say the same thing. Like, I would say if you have someone that has a phone, that we're not going to allow children to have a phone, you can say, that's actually against the policy, and you would call me or Steph, and we would call the parent and say, hey, it's not allowed that they have a phone. So if you're okay with it, we'll have it at the registration desk. If you need to contact your child, you will call this number or this number. They would call us. I would go to that group and let them talk on the phone to their child. Does that make sense? But that way we can keep it safe. We'll probably put it in the sound booth or something, have it there. They can pick it up. But their parent should feel able to contact their child at any time. And the child should be able to say, Ruby, I need to call my mom, which we're going to redirect and try and not have that. But if I absolutely have to, Ruby would contact me. I would have the parent's phone number, and I could use my own phone to call them and talk to them. Does that make sense? That clear that up? Okay.
And would there be a possibility of us at the beginning on the first day say, ask, or do you have a cell phone? Or somehow can we communicate with parents? We would ask, or do you feel like that would unnerve some parents? I'm not like, can we just not even bring them into the room, into the sanction, to the whole week? Yes.
I'd say we can have the policy. I think 98% of the kids are not going to bring a phone, or they're going to be used to it. I would say if you see it, we'll address it. If they bring it out and try to use it, we'll address it. And if we see a kid walk in with a cell phone, we can talk to the parent at that time at the registration table, be like, hey, it's actually against our policy. Either they can have it in their pocket, but if they start using it, then we'll have to put it away, or we can just ask if they would allow us to put it away and talk to them through that. So I don't think we have to declare it, but we can address it as we need to.
Those are good questions, and that's true at school. You can't have them out. Unfortunately, we all know children disobey those rules at school, I think, more than one time. But anyway, any questions about our policies and procedures? Yes. Right. She explained. Great question. And she's
Yeah, okay, so when the children come to VBS, they are given a name tag that has their crew on it, so we know what crew they go to and their name. And that is how we know they checked in. Their parent receives a slip of paper with their name on it and their crew on it, and they have to bring that piece of paper back to pick up that child. Y'all don't have to necessarily worry about that. That's the registration team's vigilant job to do. If they cannot, then they have to say, hey, I'm going to work and my mom is coming to pick up such and such. Then they have to send them a picture of that piece of paper. They have to tell us, and we will note it, such and such's mom is picking up this child. They'll come in and say, hey, here's the picture for such and such. They said I was going to pick it up. Yes, you can have the child at that point. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yeah. Yes. That's a good question. Nicole, Nicole's our registration kind of czar here. She's not here today. I can ask her about that. That's a good point. Maybe we can have them confirm something about their phone number or confirm something important or something. But I'll ask Nicole about that. It's a really good. For those up here, she asked, how do we confirm that person is the correct person? So yeah, for a majority of our kids, we know them and their parents very well, or we know their grandparents or whatever. But for those other kids, because we do have a lot of them, we are extra vigilant about it. And if anything, I would call the mom and not let the kid go. I would call the mom and be like, hey, this person is here, blah, 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 get some information before I release the child. But an ID, it's a really good idea. I'll talk to Nicole about that. So the line is out in the foyer. The registration table is right there. They have to physically come in to get the kid. I got you. Yeah. Some people have like that car thing or whatever, yeah. And we're not doing car lines. No, thank you. Yeah. So yeah, they'll have to come in physically and give the slip of paper. Everybody look away. Look away. No. So we will have these, all the other doors, the only entrance that will be open, which is the security's job, is that door. They have to come in here, and the table blocks their entrance except for a small entry, and we have someone standing in the entry to make sure. Yeah. So the security people will be in here making sure, like they'll probably be out in the parking lot actually, or in the foyer, but there will be, like me or Nicole will be standing making sure she'll check them out. I will make sure the right kid is handed to the right person, but there is only one exit, and it's like this wide. But these doors are locked. The only door they can come in, the parents can come in, is that one. They have to wait in a line until their kid is given to them. But it's a really good point. Like we are trying to be very vigilant about it. Do you have any other questions about that? Okay. We will all be wearing our VBS t-shirt. Everyone will have a VBS t-shirt if you're a worker. Some of the kids that come, if they registered really late, they didn't make the t-shirt cutoff, they won't. But all the workers, we have extras if for some reason, which everybody here has a t-shirt that was ordered based off your registration, which will be picked up when they arrive. Will probably be picked up next weekend, like on Sunday when everybody gets out of church, or on the day of. Amber, if you're showing up and you're a worker, and you don't have your t-shirt, then you will get your t-shirt. And that's something I don't think we said, but you can wear any bottoms you want, but please wear your VBS t-shirt every day. They can if they want to. Some parents don't send them in their shirt again. It's not required for them to wear their shirt, but they can and they're encouraged to. Thank you so much for all those questions, Amber. One thing that I wanted to note, too, is that allergies. Abby Chansey, if anybody knows her, is like allergy alert, okay? Because she's got kids with allergies. She's running our snack station for basically that reason. So we have decided to purchase not a ton of fun, crazy snacks. We don't have like a bunch of sugary stuff. We just have allergen-free snacks so that anybody that comes with a dairy allergy, an egg allergy, whatever, except for gluten, technically, yeah, peanuts, that is not in the vicinity, okay? And then there's some people that might choose to bring their own snacks, but I'll have Abby reach out to them. Like I'll ask if we see they have their own snacks to make sure that she'll check them and make sure they're okay. But just so everybody knows, if your kid in your crew has an allergy, it will be on your list for the kids that you have. It'll say star. It'll even be on their little name tag, star allergic to such and such. And some kids, their parents put bug bites. Some kids' parents put whatever, that's their allergy. But then you know if a kid comes and like, I have a bug bite, then you see, oh, they're allergic to bug bites. Then we're going to take them and try to bring them to the office or talk to me, and we'll address it with first aid, or we'll call the parent or whatever. But that will all be very apparent. So when you get your list, don't just look at their names, look at everything you have so that you're kind of fully aware of the whole situation. One kid last year, his mom said, must wear a hat outside. If that's your kid, your responsibility is, where's your hat, buddy? Let's wear your hat outside. Okay, so let's just be careful of that. But Abby does an excellent job as far as snacks. If they bring their own food, and you see that as a crew leader, and they want to eat their food all day long, that's another thing, just like the phones. That's something you would come to me about, I can call the parent about, and we can address. But that probably won't happen. And the kids that have high allergies that bring their own snacks, they're probably very familiar with, I bring this out when we have snack time. Okay. Any other questions about that? That's a great idea. Yes, you can. Yes, that's fine. Well, we would drop it at our snack station. Yeah. If you had that and you would give it to one of us at the registration, yes, that would be awesome. Okay. Let's see, is there anything? Anybody else have a question? Okay, we are like on time. That's insane. Okay, we didn't put this on the big screen, but they provided this year, which is really exciting, a video of the song for the Bible verse. So they made a song for us for the Bible verse to help the kids memorize. And they also gave us motions, which is really exciting, right? So we're going to try real quick. And Mr. Paul, you can probably cut the recording now because I'll send out this link to anybody that's in watching. I'm going to send you the link so that you can learn this yourself, but you're not going to be able to hear it. So thank you, Mr. Paul. Thank you for everyone watching. So I'm going to show it on my laptop right here, and then we're going to just do it, and I'll try to do it, and you can follow me. But I'll also send out this link, and this is what we're going to be teaching our kids, and it's a really easy, fun way for them to learn